Hey friends, Taylor here. How's your 2024 calendar looking? If you're like most of the filmmakers in our community, chances are you'd love to start booking more and better weddings for 2024. We recently put up a poll on our Instagram stories asking this very question, and over 95% of you said that you would either love to book more weddings or you have some on the books, but you would love better events. So if you're experiencing a slow season or just want better weddings on your calendar for 2024, we have the solution. Kelly and I have been working hard behind the scenes to create an awesome free educational experience to help you break out of your booking plateau and to make 2024 your most fulfilling and profitable year as a wedding filmmaker. We would love to personally invite you to join our Wedding Filmmaker Booking Bootcamp that is happening on October 10th, 11th, and 12th of 2023. So that's just in a few weeks. With booking season on the horizon, it's more important than ever to set yourself up for success in 2024. And this free 3-day bootcamp is dedicated to aligning with the right clients and refining your booking process so that you're consistently booking the clients that you want. So whether you are struggling to book clients, bored of filming the same cookie-cutter weddings, or looking for a way to connect with higher quality clientele, we are here to provide you with the right strategy and mindset required to achieve a full and fulfilling calendar for 2024. So we really don't want you to miss this opportunity. Please register at thelevelupco.com/booking bootcamp. It will also be linked in the show notes so that you can save your seat and head into the booking season more confident than ever before. This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help filmmakers level up their businesses and their craft so they can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Level Up Podcast. It's just me today as your host. Kelly has a corporate shoot, but I am joined by special guests Jake Weisler and Nate Tehan today. How are you guys doing?
Sorry, that was my dog. We're doing great. Doing fantastic.
Bark of the morning. That was perfect comedic timing.
And my dog. We're doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing great. There may be some ambient noise coming from both of our ends because I'm in the middle of a bathroom remodel and people are doing demo just 2 rooms past my office. So with dogs and, saws, it'll be a great episode. So you guys recently launched Runaway Vows, which is such an exciting film company, but also has educational side to it. So I would just love to hear how the last 18 months or so have transpired. Like, how did this come to be?
Yeah, so Nate and I were working at a YouTube channel, full-time filmmaker, and it kind of ran its course, and we had always been so fulfilled in the wedding industry and the wedding education community, and so we thought, you know what, we were always helping each other shoot, and our businesses really weren't anything without the other person, and so we said, why not just team up, charge double, and double the standard of quality that we can offer our clients, and also create a thriving educational community. And we're 18 months in, but we're 18 months into our 5-year plan, and it's been a really busy, stressful, chaotic, humbling.
More stressful.
18 months, but we're fulfilled. We're happy, and we see the vision, and we know that these first 18 months. Has been a great kickstart, so it's been good.
Yeah, it's just kind of like what we were talking about a little bit before this call is we're figuring out things month to month, it seems like. We had this vision towards the end of when we were working with FTF, which is like, hey, we're going to do this and this. And then we start, and 6 months in, we've just kind of changed directions, and it's just kind of an ever-evolving thing that we're always trying to figure out. But yeah, like Jake said, we're fulfilled, we're happy, working every day, and it's just been a great time.
That's good. What else can you ask for, right? Just being fulfilled and serving people really well. So that's awesome.
And that's just been really, really important to us is we want to make money. We want to have a job that we don't have to love it all the time, but we want to love it most of the time. But more importantly, for Nate and I was like, we just want to come home every night, every weekend and feel like that was a fulfilling weekend, or after make a course or a workshop or a webinar. We just want to feel like, yeah, we're helping people, and that's fulfilling to us. So it's been an amazing 18 months of that fulfillment, and yeah, couldn't be happier.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I feel like this conversation is going to kind of take two different roads. I would love to get into talking about the educational side of your business, but I'm actually really, really interested in talking about your wedding film side of your business as well. It sounds like both of you were filming weddings independently, and you have now joined forces in this whole new company. So can you just tell me a little bit about that, what that looks like, maybe how many weddings you're shooting, where? Give me an overview.
Yeah, so I guess the full story of how we started working together, everyone knew, Jake Weisler Films, FTF. I was in college and my 10-year plan was to not be a wedding filmmaker. And it just kind of happened by accident because Jake was filming so many weddings and he was hiring me for every single one. And eventually we just became best friends, started hanging out all the time. We're like, hey, we're just going to work together solely. We're never shooting anything without each other. And at the end of my college experience, I was just like, all right, well, I guess this is what we're doing. We just started working together.
I begged him. I said, please, Nathan, I can't do this without you.
And so we just kind of like, yeah, that's how we started working together. And what we'll probably talk about a little later too is we were filming our space was that elopement, kind of like higher end elopements, smaller weddings.
Always out of state.
Yeah, always out of state. We were traveling, probably 4 or 5 times a month, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it just got really exhausting. So that's why when we started this venture with Runaway Vows, we just decided, hey, we still do like travel if it's for the right reason, but we want to be better at capturing inbound weddings to Utah and being better at working with planners. So that is kind of like where we're at right now. And it has evolved a lot, but I kind of forgot of the original question. That is how we first started. And that's kind of like where we're at right now in terms of our goals with Runaway Vows.
We just love Utah.
Yeah.
We love it. Every time we travel, we come home and we're just like, man, this is the goated state. You have everything. So we're trying to do a lot more inbound luxury destination weddings who people are coming to Utah to get married. But then obviously we love to travel if, like he said, the price is right and the client is right. Because we really just want to focus more on our educational community. And I'm happier, I think you are too, when we can make money and be home with our wives, and not have to be gone and separated and be with our families. So that's why, we're trying to be a little bit more picky with our clientele. And luckily, we're very blessed to have that luxury to be picky. So.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And I just kind of want to break this down for the listeners a little bit. For listeners who are not aware, I feel like the Utah market can be a little bit of a tricky market when it comes to local brides and grooms getting married. And there's a lot of places in the country where people feel like, okay, well, people in my area are not spending an extravagant amount of money on their weddings. But what you guys have done is so incredibly smart because you're targeting people who are having destination weddings in your own backyard. And I feel like that is kind of a really great strategy to go about it. I'm similar. So actually live in the Sacramento area and we don't have a huge wedding market here, but I am 2 hours from Tahoe, 2 hours from Napa, and those are huge destinations. So it's not necessarily people who live in Tahoe getting married that I'm targeting. I'm targeting people flying in for their weddings. And it sounds like you guys are doing the same thing.
Yeah, we learned, because I don't know, I think the last 5 years we've been pretty much exclusively destination videographers. I could count on one hand how many like Utah weddings I feel like I was doing personally. I was just always traveling. Because the Utah market is again, know your demographic. It is just a cheaper market. We have an influx of weddings here. There could be 100 weddings on one Saturday at one venue. We've seen it happen in a busy month in June or July in Utah. So it's just like there's just an assembly line of weddings happening in Utah all the time. So many weddings. And because of that, there's just a saturation of photographers and videographers. And because of that, so many options to choose from, your cost of weddings go down. So we learned pretty quickly that in Utah, and there's always exceptions, but when we were starting out, we felt the max we could charge for the Utah market in our first 2 years was like $2,000 to $3,000. And that was kind of like pushing it. And then we learned that we could do the exact same things out of state and double that. And not that we're just in it for the money, but we also, it's like, well, if I'm going to give up a Saturday or a weekend, I want to be paid what I'm worth. And we knew that out of state, is where that worth was. So we went out of state. We exclusively traveled for 5 years. We were doing everything and anything we could, turning away all Utah weddings pretty much because it was just we were out of the pricing. And then when we made Runaway Vows, we kind of were opened up when we decided last year, we're like, you know what, we're kind of done with this adventurous elopement destination market. We want to be in the luxury market. We want to be doing high-end luxury weddings with black tie, one-day celebrities and things like that nature. And we learned, like there are planners and vendors who do that in Utah. And then we learned, there are also planners who do that solely for inbound destination markets. People who say, I want to get married in Utah because they love to ski or they just love Utah. And so they find a planner who specializes in bringing people to Utah, or people who just are out of state wanting to come to Utah. Just did a wedding at this gorgeous venue with a California planner. Amazing planner, but Utah was their client's choice. And so she came and found all the vendors, and we were lucky enough to be the videographer she chose. So now that we've learned that market also exists, and it's a very niche market, because you think, it's just luxury. It's like, well, there's also a sub-niche inbound luxury. Sorry about my dog. That's what we wanted to get into. So it's been really cool. It's been really fun to kind of explore that market and meet those vendors who specialize in that niche. Because I think we all kind of have the same mindset of like how much we are kind of sick of traveling and just love our home state.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that we kind of, if people ask us about travel now, like we will always, say, yeah, traveling's fun. That's how we, I guess, created the way that, created the films that we see in the past and what we, the framework for what we have now. But you always hear of travel, like this is what I want to do, but no one really talks about how much of a toll it kind of takes on you. And it was really taking a toll on us when we were traveling so much. And in our minds, we're just like, yeah, we just got to get out of Utah because it's, $2,000, $3,000 tops. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we can go California, Michigan, Florida, all these places. And that's where the money is. But then, once we did it for long enough, we just realized, hey, in our backyard, we have Park City, we have Moab, we have St. George, like all these really cool places. Utah is a destination of its own. And a lot of people, I guess, have that same, availability in their home state. I would say most people do, at least pretty close to them. And if you can just redirect those efforts into capturing those inbound ones, that has been a lot more rewarding, I'd say, for us. But I imagine you probably had something similar with, with all those locations being close to you, but maybe not so close in your hometown.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I think everyone kind of experiences this like constant reinventing of themselves as they get tired of certain things, realize what they value and where they want to go. And I think that's like the beauty of being in business for yourself and being an entrepreneur is like there's no rule book. You can kind of do it however you want. And that creates it a really fun and fulfilling and exciting career. And it's never always the same, like year to year. I had the exact same thing for the first, 3 or 4 years of my business. I really only filmed weddings in Sacramento. And then I quickly like priced myself out of the area. No clients could afford me here anymore. So then that's when I started branching out and targeting, like more Tahoe and Napa. So we're talking about inbound destination, which I think is like such a brilliant way to go about doing business. Would you guys be willing to talk a little bit about what your average pricing looks like for these weddings? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said that too, because our pricing has evolved drastically over the last 18 months because we've had to adapt completely based on the needs of our ideal client. And it was when we made Runaway Vows, we sat down with our brand designer actually, and she asked us a very simple question. She said, what's your ICP or your ideal client profile? And she said, there's enough weddings, it's a saturated enough market where you can book your ideal client every single time, but you have to be willing to know exactly what they look like. And because if you don't know what your ideal client looks like, then how could you ever possibly know how to market yourself to somebody you don't even know exists, right? So Nate and I sat down and said, well, yeah, who is our ideal client? And we learned as we dug through all these different questions about like their age, what they make, what they do for work. We're like, you know what? Our ideal client isn't a bride and groom, which it used to be. It's a planner. Our ideal client who we want to go out and find and network with and market towards and build relationships with are planners. And we had to adapt our pricing based on what they were looking for. So, sorry, that was a long intro for our pricing, but for what we charge, we're trying to charge at least $9,000 in our base packaging system. We've tried a few different systems. We used to do the tier system, but we landed on the base packaging system with a dozen add-ons to add on top of that for a few reasons, which I'll get to in a second. But the base package includes, I think right now it's 10 hours of coverage, 2 shooters always, a 6-minute highlight film, a ceremony edit, and a teaser trailer. And then something we also throw in is like a 24-hour recap edit, so that when they wake up the next morning, there's an edit in their inbox, just a recap. Kind of the extra mile thing. It's not really something they're getting, expecting, but we try to over deliver that. And we have dozens of add-ons, longer edits, additional edits, and so forth, and the client can build them out. Mainly because, again, we have the luxury, since we're in an educational market and filming weddings isn't our sole source of income. We aren't, how to say this, we don't care as much if we're not a good fit. We will happily move on and know that we will spend that weekend building out resources and courses and stuff. So that's why we mainly went with the base packaging system. It's kind of like, here's what comes in our base. We won't leave our house for less than this. Take it or leave it type of a thing. And if you want to add to it, add to it. Sorry, that was a very long answer to your question.
No, I think it's so great. Everyone kind of does things a little bit differently. And I think that's such a cool thing that the educational realm of wedding films has to offer, is people get to consume all this content, learn from all of these different people, and then kind of decide and cherry pick what is best fitting for them in their situation. Because I'm similar. My husband has a great job, and I have the ability to turn down work if I don't want to take a client. And I also can be selective, right? So, but some people, it's a husband and wife team. This is their only source of income. They have 3 kids, and they maybe need the booking a little bit more than others. So, and
I don't want to sugarcoat that either. I want to be very transparent that if this was our sole business and our sole job, we would be a lot more involved in client communication and trying to make sure that we can make anything work. But we know what we're worth. We know what we want. And we also know that every wedding we shoot is dual purposed as educational content. And so if it doesn't check all those boxes, it's just not worth our time. And so by the end of next year, our goal is to be averaging in the 15 to 20K package range.
That's amazing. I mean, going from a $2,000 to $3,000 max for Utah weddings up to minimum 9, maybe averaging 15 for next year. Wow, that is an insane increase. Yeah. And you guys should be so proud of yourselves and the ability to see the strategy and then implement all these changes in order to make it a reality. I think that can be the problem with some people, is they consume all this content, but then they never put what they're learning to action. Or maybe there's some fear there. Fear of failure is a real thing that a lot of people struggle with, and you guys were able to just kind of go for it. And that's really, really cool. Do you have any booked for next year so far? I would love to know. We're sitting here in September of 2023 for those of you listening in the future.
How many do we do this year, Nate?
This year I think we did, 25 through the first 6 months, and even that
it was 20 in the first up until July.
20 until July, and then we had 4 or 5 in the last 6 months. And not gonna lie,
next weekend. Or in 2?
October. We have 2 more this year. We have 2 more this year.
So we had so many.
And it was a lot. And this whole year we've just been releasing a course a month. So we have a ton of, stress on our plate to do this educational stuff. And so the weddings, the first half of the year, we were just no sleep. It was horrible. it was
2
rough.
Workshops.
It was a lot. So
8 courses so far.
If we're talking about, that point where a lot of filmmakers are, where they can't be selective because they're just taking on so much work, that's great, but it takes a toll on us. But even though we were kind of being selective, we had all these other things on the backlog which made us feel just as tired and almost burnt out, but not really, because it was different things that we were really passionate about. And so that's why we accepted a lot less in this later half. And as of 2024, I believe we only have like 2 booked. Do we even, maybe 0, 1,
Maybe
2?
3.
Maybe 3. Okay, yeah, we only have a very select few. But yeah, we're just, in fact, just yesterday we sat down. We have these improv meetings all the time. Like we'll just be sitting there across the desk and we just start chatting about like Netflix or something. And then we'll say, hey, like, by the way, what do we want to do next year? And yesterday we were just like, we want our courses to be doing this much. We want this to be doing this much. And we aren't going to leave the house for weddings going less than at least 12 to 15K. And so that is our goal. And so we're expecting it to be slower in terms of inquiries, but we're
hoping to be at like 10 by next year.
Yeah. And we're really hoping to just, because we do have a lot of educational plans for next year, we want to taper down on the weddings.
Yeah.
And I want to say this. I know being in the education space, people look up to you and people, hang on to words you say. So I want to say this transparently, but also just honestly and gently, that every weekend that I'm not with my wife and I'm with somebody else that I don't want to be with, it's just not worth it to me.
That hurts.
And so I know it's like someone's special day, it's the most important day of their life, but at the end of the day, I truly, it's going to sound so harsh, I truly don't care. I love my life more, right? I will put my best foot forward. I'll give you 110% at your wedding, and I will be the best filmmaker I can possibly be and be attentive to detail and shoot everything the best I can. But if we're not a good fit, it just doesn't matter to me. It's not worth it to us to leave our home and our families to go be with people celebrating a moment that we ultimately don't care about. That's so harsh to say. I'm trying to say it with love, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
I mean, it's our job. It's a job. It's work.
Yeah.
It turns into a job.
It is
Yeah.
a job. And I love my job. And do I get emotional during ceremonies and reception toasts?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Nate and I will look over and just be like teary-eyed at some speeches. But yeah, when Nate says like, we're very picky because you're not just hiring us to do a job, you're pulling us away from our lives. And that's important to us. So we're making a lot of connections. We're hoping to get at 10 weddings next year. It'd be a dream to even just average 1 a month. 1, to stay relevant, 2, have great content, and 3, just to have amazing weddings and connections. But again, we will only do that first if they check all those boxes.
Yeah. And I think that's where having like a guiding North Star to keep us true to like what's really important to us is really, really smart, because my husband gives me a hard time all the time. He's like, it's really easy to take people's money, right? It's like really easy to just like book. And you kind of get like a booking high from it almost. You're like, yay! But then when it's actually time to like pack up, leave your family, like get on a plane, like be gone for 4 days, like then it like reality kind of sets in, and it's hard sometimes to keep that like the reality of it in mind when like the excitement of booking a wedding kind of is on your lap, essentially. I would just really quickly, I have a bunch of things I want to ask you guys, but I really would love to touch on your guys' values and missions. You do have this on your website, so if you guys who are listening go to the Runaway Vows website, you can read them for yourselves, but you have quality, family, and mindfulness as your values. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, quality, family, and mindfulness. I think going back to kind of like the beginning days when we weren't officially Runaway Vows, it was just Jake Weisler Film and Nate Tian Film, this college student over here. So we just knew what we were good at. We had our cameras, we loved the 1DX Mark II. We had our 50 millimeter, our 85 millimeter, and we just showed up, and it was just a routine every single wedding. And it was really good. Like, we loved the results, and a lot of people looked up to those results too. But when we started Runaway Vows, we knew that if we were going to have this 5-year plan, like what Jake was saying, we needed to make every wedding that we shoot just mindful. Everything that we do is mindful, because when we are mindful about these things, I'm probably going to say that a lot, but when we are, it brings that passion back to us. So we started trying out a whole bunch of different techniques based off of a lot of people we were inspired from. We tried the handheld look. If we were dealing with an adventurous couple, we tried different, zoom lenses, which we used to only film on prime lenses. Yeah. We tried to tailor the experience to the couple that we were filming. And by just making that little shift, we realized, yes, this works, or no, this doesn't. We connected with this, or we need to go back to our roots. And that's why we're saying like we're constantly evolving, because we're learning so many things every single wedding we film and every single month. And
Love it too. Love evolving.
I love evolving. We're just, it keeps it fun, honestly. And then as Jake was also mentioning, just the family thing is huge for us. We like traveling until the traveling date arrives. And then when you have, 6 weeks of hardly being home with our wives, it just starts to take a toll. So this year especially, and juxtaposed last year, or I guess 2 years ago now, when we were at FTF, we didn't feel like we had all the family time. We felt like we just had to like drop everything and run if we were on call. And we've picked up a lot of hobbies. We spend a lot of time. We love doing those things because when we're healthy in that aspect of our lives, Runaway Vows is better. Like some people might not notice it, but we notice it, and everything just clicks a little better.
Yeah, a big mentor. I feel like those values, quality, mindfulness, and family, we've been looking for people in our circles of influence who can help also teach us those things indirectly. A good example this last year, a connection we made is Emma K Films. I know you know her, and she's become a great friend of ours, and she's been someone that we look up to and are reminded of quality. And then Justin Porter Media is another person we fall in love. He's someone who's been teaching us a lot about mindfulness, and how it's sometimes not enough to get a pretty B-roll shot in slow motion, but figure out how you can incorporate that organically in a meaningful way in their film, and so forth. And then family, like, not to be a dead horse, but every decision we make, every wedding we want to book, our first question is, how does it affect our family, and is it going to progress our goals for our families? And I think when we think about like starting a company, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. I think we all just get so caught up in how beautiful the branding looks. We want a cool logo, beautiful fonts, a color palette, a really cool website, a beautiful Instagram page and reels. And I think we forget the identity of what that brand needs to represent. And Nate and I have learned, especially from Nate Tian Film and Jake Weiser Films, it used to be every decision was based on how good it looked, right? Like, what's the thumbnail? Okay, well, how cool does it look? Like, everything was about the aesthetic. And now every single decision, whenever we have a question or a crossroads, the answer's already there, and we don't have to discuss it because we have those values. And if we didn't have those values, Nate and I would probably be in 1,000 arguments over little things, or not even arguments, just like discussions about things that shouldn't really matter because we don't see the bigger picture. And so I think anyone listening, anyone who's undergoing a brand redesign or just feeling that they don't have a brand identity, start with your values, because our values came first. And because of our values, then our aesthetic came after. Our logo, our fonts, our page, our Instagram, our community, our grid, like everything came as a result of the values and not the other way around. So yeah, we've been mindful of them. We might get them in papyrus font on our wall back here. So
when you go to get your website designed, a lot of times graphic designers will say copy should dictate design. Like, that's a very common phrase in like the graphic design world. And so I feel like that is kind of like something that applies what you just said. Like, let your values dictate how your branding looks and feels. And you're so right. People get caught up in like the coolest headshots and
well, yeah, wow. Our photographer said she had us fill out this 40-page questionnaire, and she said this will be used for your copy. Like, I'll take these answers and I'll use it to mold your brand. But she didn't give us any asks until we filled that out, and she learned about us and our values and mission. And we didn't even know our values and mission. I feel like we, to be honest, we kind of answered all of our questions about who we are, what we stood for. And she compiled it and said, hey, your values are these three things. And I was like, and we're like, that's right. That's exactly right. Great. And her name's Nicole, and she's incredible. Coco's Catalog, sponsored by.
Yeah, we didn't even know, like when we were filling out these questionnaires too, we didn't know it was going to be our copy. So we were saying weird stuff sometimes, like.
Don't say that.
at one point, we were in Italy last year and we were on a phone call with her. It was our first call. And again, we didn't know any of this was just being recorded. And I don't know what was the question, but
I was jet lagged. I was tired. It
was a
was
long
Italy.
day.
It was humid, and she's like, "What do you guys want to be remembered as?" And I was like, "Just a couple of business baddies."
That's good.
And
yeah.
and yeah,
And it was
then
all over
that was
our
like all
website.
over our website, and I was like, "No."
we're just like, hang on, no, let's check.
And I also think we had just started talking to her. I think she thought we were married, and so like, no, we both have.
Yeah, we had to make that clear. We're just like,
so-
yeah, we're both married to our wives, and yeah, there was a little bit of miscommunication, but
okay.
we got to where we wanted it to be. But yeah, copy dictates
Design.
the design.
I like that.
I like that a lot. I like
Tattooed for sure.
that. Tattooed.
Tattooed right here.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so I mean, you guys keep alluding to this 5-year plan, and if you're willing to share, I would love to hear a little bit more. You don't have to reveal all the secrets, but I would love to
Yeah.
know what the future holds for you guys.
The future holds for us our 5-year plan. Our main priority, like priority number 1, is to create a automated course, a selling course. We want our course library and our educational community to be automated, self-fulfilling, bring people in, and push them out into the world with knowledge, skills, and the know-how on how to become a successful wedding videographer. That's priority number 1. And we want that to be our main job. That's where we find the most fulfillment. As for our wedding house or production house, we also really want to get into the luxury market. We want to be at the NDAs, the black tie, the celebrities. I want to look over like Russell Kent Nichols and see Jason Derulo guest singing at the wedding. We want to do that, mainly as a sense of, let's say, a sense of pride, but also we love that market. We think it's so fun to capture. I think it pushes us the most as creators. I think some people have this weird illusion that like once you get to luxury market, it's easier somehow because it's so beautiful and everything. No matter where you put your camera, it's gorgeous. I think I beg to differ from the coaching calls I've had with people in the luxury market. You work 10 times harder. And I think Nate and I are not saying we've made it by any means here, but we want to continually push ourselves, and that luxury market with that type of a clientele, that high level caliber, is where we feel the most pushed. And when we feel the most pushed, that cliche saying, there's no comfort in the growth zone, there's no growth in the comfort zone. That's where we find the most happiness. So 5-year plan, that's also in the 5-year plan. And I'd say in the first 18 months of that 5-year plan, to get to that level of luxury market, we're laying some great pipe for the connections we're making with planners and vendors and yeah.
I think, and just to go along with that, we want to get to that luxury space to prove that this mindset shift that we've had in our business of targeting inbound destination weddings, planners, we want to get to that luxury space to prove that this method works, and so that we can teach it perfectly. Because our whole goal is to have this course where anyone who just bought a camera, they just bought a gimbal or lenses, they come to our course and they say, hey, these guys did this in this amount of time. I'm going to learn everything they did, and they do it. That's our whole purpose, because we want the course to be the number one thing that sells, but we still want to film these weddings because we really do enjoy them. We like the luxury market. We've had tastes of it, and we know that we can get there. And we just want to test out our method because we want to be unique in that aspect.
We associate shot for Larev. I'm not sure if I can drop their name here. I'm going to drop their name. I already did. We associate shot for them last year. They got called to do the Biden wedding, as everyone saw, at the White House, and we had to fill in for them. And super honored and humbled that they asked us. And that was a really big eye-opening experience. Like, wow, this is different, and we loved it. It was stressful, and we felt a little uncomfortable. But that's what we had been missing for so long. Like I feel like I'm learning again, and I loved it. So we're really excited about our 5-year plan. So I hope that wasn't too vague. tried to be kind of specific, but
No, I thought that was great.
it's also an evolving 5-year
Yeah,
plan.
evolving.
That's how it goes. Like, you can only plan for what you know, and there'll be little shifts and pivots along the way, and then you'll end up in a place where, like, you couldn't even ever imagine, but it's better than what you thought. That's kind of like the beauty of life. And for people who, I always tell Kelly, she's a doer, and you guys are total doers too. You know, there's like dreamers and doers, and you're a brand of doer, but just really touching on the luxury market thing and how it comes with challenges. I don't want to intimidate people from the luxury market because it's an amazing place to be, but like some things do get easier and then a whole new set of challenges arise that you didn't even know existed. So like, for example, like a lot of times these planners, they hire like full creative teams that include like lighting technicians, right? So like they're lighting the toasts for you. They're lighting the dances for you. So like, cool. Like
it's a dream.
The lights never leave your car. You know what I mean? So like that's easier, but there's now 300 guests and live performances and that's a whole new set of challenges. So it's kind of fun to see like how the challenges like transform and progress as you progress in your career. And I'm the same. Like like full transparency, I get bored really easily. Like, I could never just like do the same thing like 20 times a year. Yeah. And so that was like a leading like reason for me to like pursue the luxury market as well. Is like, I like the challenge. I like the newness. I like the freshness that the luxury market brings. And Kelly and I always like to say, like, the luxury market is the tastemakers of the industry. Like, they're at the very top, setting the trends, doing everything that's new. You've never seen this before. And then it trickles down into the mainstream market over the course of 5 or 10 years or so, as people pin it on Pinterest and it becomes more accessible to people. So if you want something that's like really fulfilling, like the luxury market is a great place to be as an artist, because you get to do things that no one's ever seen before. So
well, you kill it in that market.
Yeah,
we're always impressed by everything you do. So
you're very sweet.
You're and if just to go off that too, we were at this workshop in April, and a luxury planner was speaking at the workshop. And she was incredible, because what you just said, she pulled the curtain back, didn't sugarcoat the market at all, and just said, this is how it is, and this is what's expected of you, and this is what you can and can't do in this space, and if you want to be in this space, adapt or die. And what was so fascinating to us at this workshop is that it felt like half the room shut down, and like, oh, I don't want to actually be in that market. It was something that they thought it was something else, right? And half the room said, I don't want to do that. That's not my brand. That's not my personality. That's not my 5-year plan. But the other half of the room's like, yeah, I identify with that. And then another speaker talked about a different side of the luxury world, more of the elopement luxury, more intimate, with your couples. And that half of the room that was turned off by the luxury planner identified with that style, and they love that. And what we learned from that, it's like, you know what? And what you're saying is, when you get to that level, I feel like in the lower, even the mid-market, you're competing with quality, right? It's couples are pixel peeping your videos and saying, okay, who has a better film? Whose looks better? Who's maybe has a sharper drone shot? Who has better color? They're comparing quality. Once you reach the luxury market, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this is kind of just my take on it as we step into it, that quality is just expected. The planners and the couples aren't comparing. They trust that if you're making it into that market, you're already doing the best technically wise, right? You have the best cameras, the best settings, the best drone, the best gimbals, the best lenses. That's just done, right? They expect it. But what you are competing with is your professionalism, your branding, how you work with planners, the deliverables you can give them, and how much you can over deliver and please your clients. That's what's on the table, not so much the technical side of the filmmaking. It's more about the network and the relationships you build. So that's been very interesting for us to learn, is realizing not that technical and quality can take a back seat, but to focus a lot more on relationships. And so now after every wedding, we're making a handful of reels for the planner, not even the couple anymore. She's like, well, the planner doesn't care about seeing a couple kiss in the field, right? Or even just kiss at a venue. They weren't a part of that, but they were a part of the details, the design board, everything that made the event what it was. And we want them to see that we appreciate and notice their work. It's just a small mindset shift that's been really beneficial to getting into the markets we want to get into.
Yep. no, you're hitting the nail right on the head. And that's like Kelly and my mission and like the drive behind what we do here at Level Up. And earlier this year, we just launched our course, Luxury Filmmaker Framework, and that's what we teach. It's a business course for helping wedding filmmakers enter the luxury market or become the premium option in your local market. Like, not everyone wants to do like super luxury, but whatever we teach like will help you become the premium option as well. But we're actually about to open up the doors to Luxury Filmmaker Mastermind again, and we just finished our first group of Mastermind. It literally just ended yesterday at the time of recording, and we took 30 filmmakers through 12 weeks of like business transformation, and like we're seeing the light bulbs go off on people, or like light up on people, click on people. I don't know what the phrasing is, but it's really, really cool to see the mindset shifts happen in real time and watching filmmakers make these changes. And we can see our students setting themselves up for such amazing success heading into the 2024 season and beyond. It's really cool. And I love that you guys kind of share like a similar mindset around like growing your business. So it's great to see.
Do you feel like, for you and Kelly personally, do you feel like you have more satisfaction in the education side or the filming the weddings?
Kelly and I are opposites. I like...
That means it works.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. We are the perfect balance. I like filming weddings and I feel like I'm like decent at it, but I love the education side. Like this is what I feel passionate about. Kelly like went to film school. Like she loves editing, loves filming. She's really passionate about filmmaking and like also enjoys education. So I think we're like such a great balance and even each other out. So yeah,
that's awesome. No, your course reflects that. When you showed us the course, we went through it all, and it was very, very high quality. Yeah. So kudos. That was an amazing course.
Thank you.
Take it seriously, and we always appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so we're coming up on almost an hour for the podcast. So we're going to give our closing thoughts before we log off. But do you have any last bits of wisdom or advice that you'd like to share with the listeners? And then we'll tell them where they can find you online too.
To part on some Nate Tihan wisdom.
Putting you on the spot, guys.
Should have watched Master Uruguay. No, you know what? Everything that we've talked about is just what has worked for us, and there's been plenty of times where it hasn't worked for us, but everything we've talked about is a work in progress, and our opinion always changes. We could go into the office tomorrow and be like, hey, you know what? We want to make this slight tweak to our courses or our approach to booking weddings. And so everything we've talked about is just what works for us. And that's what we teach in our courses. Hey, this camera works for us, this lens, this gimbal. It might not work for you, but the best way to know is just to give it a shot. So the best advice we can give to people is, it depends where you're at. If you want to make a change, try, approaching some planners, try reaching out to some planners or some venues, making some free reels or content for them. And just try to be a businessman or a businesswoman first with the medium of filming weddings. That's kind of like where we're at. We like to consider ourselves, men of business who just happen to know how to work cameras. And that is the mode of which we choose to do our business. So just making that mindset shift has been pretty big for us. But we're an open book. Our DMs are open, our emails are open. We're pretty active on social media. So if anyone ever wants to know more about us, they can email us at contact@runawayvows.com, or they can come to our Facebook community, Runaway Weddings. Not Runaway Vows weddings, we're still a sensitive subject, but yeah, Runaway Weddings, we're very active in there.
Great. And we'll link all those things in the show notes.
Vows, guys. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry,
That'd
Jake.
be awesome. No, you're good. Yeah. Well, yeah. Put the links below. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to echo my partner here, I always appreciate people who listen to these podcasts. I think the first step to getting better is investing time, maybe money, but always time into education. And Nate and I, the last 18 months, have invested a lot of time into education for ourselves. And unless you're trying to actively seek education to get better, you'll just be going in circles and never really grow. And it's humbling. You learn what you don't know, and that can sometimes give you imposter syndrome. I know I felt that personally many times this year. But at the end of the day, my dad always said, you can choose to be discouraged or you can choose to be determined. And Nate and I have been big focus this year on things we don't know and we, instead of being discouraged about it, we take that as a determination to learn that skill, learn that thing, get good at it, so that we do know and have confidence in that. So I always want to thank the listeners for being here, and for you, Taylor, for having this amazing podcast, and just wanting to give this value to a community of people who, as someone in it, desperately need it, and desperately love it, and find a lot of value in it. So thank you for hosting this. Thank you for listening. Those who are listening, I commend your investment of your time into growing your skills.
Thank you for joining us in this conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please help us reach more filmmakers just like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it on social media. Don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.